Last time on Dog of Shame.
And I'm thinking, like, were they trying to make it really obvious out of the gate who is the subject of potentially going home?
At one point, Eva drops her MP3 player on the way to the bathroom, and Heather just smoothly picks it up.
That shit was not smooth.
Welcome, campers, to the Dock of Shame podcast. My name is Matt. I'll be your host for the day. Joined with me are...
I'm Chris. Is it really weird how everyone in Washington, D.C. is talking about the song Peaches by the Presidents of the United States of America?
Hi, I'm Matt Walsh, and I'm cruising for a bruising.
I'm Gabe, and I just laughed for about 10 minutes, and I've drained my body of all the serotonin it can produce.
It's good. That's a good existence. You using that serotonin for good.
All right, welcome. We are going over the episode Dodgebrawl today. One of my, honestly, personal favorites, especially these earlier episodes. Any thoughts to start us off?
I used to be really good at dodgeball.
Really?
Yes.
The catching or the throwing?
Just
Or
skillfully
the
dodging. Like, you know how Bayonetta goes into witch time? That was basically me.
Nice.
Okay, I want to point out.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I've ever played dodgeball.
Never in, like, gym class?
I don't think so. I don't think they ever had dodgeball in gym class. Unless I'm like blocking. Maybe maybe it was such a bad experience that I've just blocked it out of my memory.
I mean, we never played it with, like, kickballs. Like they do in this, but definitely like these just tiny little foam balls that don't hurt if they get hit.
I don't know. Like, Matt, you and I went to the same high school. Like, did that happen? Because I forget.
We didn't in high school. We did a little in like elementary school and middle school.
Okay.
At least I did, but we did not play dodgeball in high school.
Okay.
I also wanted to point out too at the beginning of the episode, Chris says pretty much the same thing he did last time, that this episode's campfire is going to be the most dramatic, and I thought that was I hope I realize he says that every episode.
This is the most recent campfire ceremony you'll see.
Essentially. I love it. I get it. Just plays into the same mantra of a reality TV.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So we begin this episode in the mess hall. Everyone on the Killer Bats is exhausted because Harold apparently snored the entire night.
And I also thought that this was they're trying to continue on from the sleeping challenge the day before or whatever.
Yeah. Harold walks in, and he has a mustache drawn on him in Sharpie. They do like a slow motion sequence of like light surrounding him as he walks to the table.
What was that?
What?
That was Harold. That was Harold.
No, the noise that Chris made just sounded like he was being abducted by an alien through the microphone.
Well, I didn't hear a noise. What happened?
It was like, ooh. It got progressively louder.
That was not. I don't think that was me then. That might have been like maybe outside my window.
Okay.
I don't know.
It just came through your thing. Your thing was just like
We spoke of Harold, and now the gods have spoken.
All right.
Wait, yeah.
Go, Chris. I'm going to be very suspicious the rest of the episode on whether or not you're actually Chris.
I'm very playing out of this bit right now because I have no idea what any of you guys are talking about because I did not hear anything just now.
Awesome. I really hope your mic picked it up. Otherwise, we're going to sound like idiots.
Or we could just cut out this entire portion of the episode.
We're keeping it in.
Yeah, we can cut it out, right?
Just edit in a sound.
So someone had drawn a mustache on Harold with Sharpie, which Harold like already has facial hair, so I'm sure he's had a mustache at some point, unless he just can't grow hair there. But Harold likes it. Says it looks sweet.
I also
I have
really
nothing
enjoyed-
I can say to this.
Also, I think we've broken the mantra that like everything on the show is filmed, because we see Harold's like imagination of like what he thinks he looks like, and like how he thinks everybody's looking at him.
Right.
Well,
That's the cartoon element.
well, but hold on though. I would still make the argument that if we're talking like a post edit, like that stuff happens like all the time on Big Brother, especially because they have so many people with egos on there, and they make it. They kind of play like I don't know, like fancy music in the background or whatever, like to make them all look good. But meanwhile, like there's like the record scratch, and then like them clearly like people are making fun of them with how conceited they are. Like that absolutely happens on reality TV as well. So that I yes, cartoon, but I also would just make the note that this could also happen in reality TV.
Okay.
Yeah. Gwen walks in exhausted from her championship win, challenge win rather. The previous day, and she continues to be that way through the entire episode. I really liked the continuity here.
Yes, I also like that, especially since, well, Total Drama is not known for its continuity.
I mean, at least like the characters stay voted out.
I mean, yeah, I think it's just it very much they're trying to like hammer in the idea of it being very like they're just completely knocked out.
Yeah. So there's a lot of other challenges going on. Heather kind of explains some more alliance things to Lindsay and Beth. The big thing being, I get to get all of your stuff, but my stuff's off limits. And if you don't agree with that, then you're out of the alliance. And Lindsay and Beth just don't have either the guts or the brains to be like, wait, what if we just like team up ourselves and kick her out? Because I think they still think that Heather has like a magic secret to get to the end. But they complain, and then Heather kind of puts them down. She taunts the Bass about them like voting out their strongest competitor. And Courtney tries to fling whatever that mush is at her, but hits Gwen in the face instead, who is still very exhausted.
Yeah, Courtney's a bit of a hypocrite, yeah, because like Eva, the whole thing with like the confessional, and Eva is just it's saying how like Eva is supposed to be this like we got rid of Eva, and but she could have been a strength for us. Meanwhile, like she was kind of like campaigning for the fact that Eva would go out the earlier episode. So she like it was very weird, like the change between the two episodes, like how like she was like, oh, but we just got rid of Eva, like she was our strength, and now we have to play even harder.
Yeah.
Like it's
well,
like
it makes sense to me, because now she's basically trying to get into the other team's head.
yeah. Well, I'm not necessarily talking about like the smack talk across the room, or anything like that. I think that in the confessional, like she's just saying like, oh, like we like yeah, Eva was a troublemaker, but she was one of our strongest members. Like she was like almost trying to make the argument that that they should have maybe kept Eva around, and like that. I don't know, like that to me it was a kind of contradictory to like what she was kind of talking about last episode.
Well, no, Heather and Eva weren't on the same team.
No.
I'm talking about Courtney.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Heather.
I'm talking about Courtney in the confessional regarding Eva. talking about Eva and how like how she feels like she was one of the strongest members of their team, and they got rid of her, and now they're gonna have to figure out a way to win without her. But like she was kind of saying last episode how she's acting like a fool, and kind of like giving reason to get her out. Yeah.
Alright, sorry, I get what you mean now.
Yeah.
And I think that is just evidence of like Heather getting in their head.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. We transition to challenge time. It is a dodgeball match on the beach in a big glass case that they never use again, and a dodgeball court. Chris explains. Duncan walks in. He is also exhausted, and says, basically, like threatens them not to wake him up, and then just like lays down on the bench and falls asleep.
I would like to say something really fast.
What's that?
I don't know if it's been used before, but starting from this moment on, they reuse this fucking voice clip of someone saying "woo, yeah," but it goes between multiple female characters. Like first, it's either Katie or Sadie, whichever one's the thinner one.
That's
first
Katie.
they use it, huh?
That's Katie.
Okay, first she uses it, and then later on in the episode, Lindsay uses it. And
They do have the same voice actress.
what?
Yeah.
I was drinking water. You can't go like that.
But they shouldn't make it that obvious.
No, I agree with you on that. It is such an annoying trope
rewriting.
that happens a lot throughout the entire show. That very very frequent using. It's like, oh yeah, and it's like, okay, you don't cheer the same way every single time. This is
But like they reuse it like 5 times in 10 seconds, and it's so annoying.
Yeah, they did a lot in this episode. Just real quick, I want to just touch upon the fact that there used to be a dodgeball reality show, called Extreme Dodgeball on Game Show Network in 2004.
How'd that go over?
Apparently it went for 3 seasons. I didn't know that, but
Oh.
the first season was insane because they had like the most. They had almost everyone playing very very different personalities. There was like a sumo wrestler team, there was like a jockey team and a mime team. It was wild. It was like must see TV, and I think they made it a little bit more normal over the course of the next few seasons, which I think is why I stopped watching it. But it was really strange.
How do mimes play dodgeball?
You're gonna have to look to find out. I can't really show you because this is an audio form, but
Right.
this is wait, I'm making a mime joke, but
Yeah.
I also I don't even know where the clips of this show. I feel like they went and burned it after the fact. It is wild. It was fun though. I was watching Game Show Network back then when I guess I was like, what was it, 2004? So I was like 8 years old at the time. So because I used to be obsessed with GSN.
Hey, me too.
But yeah, I was around for that, and that was good TV.
Yeah, it's something.
I would also like to share something too. I don't know I haven't talked about this earlier, but this kind of has to do with total drama. Reality shows that have very poor testing and just overall just really poor what's the word?
Quality assurance.
Quality assurance, yeah. There used to be this show on Sci-Fi called Opposite Worlds, and
I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah, the whole point of the show was who was the better vision of human strength or whatever, people from the future or people or cavemen from the distant past, and the entire show was so heavily stacked in the future's favor. I'm surprised that it even aired from you can tell from the very beginning. It's just because it was shot in, I believe, frick.
Totally.
Huh?
You mean totally?
I had a brain fart.
You're trying to figure out the location of the show.
Yeah. It's in the South.
Texas.
No,
Georgia. Florida.
Alabama, Louisiana, New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Mexico,
New Orleans. Yes, that's
New
it.
Orleans.
New
Okay.
Orleans. Okay.
It was filmed in New Orleans during the winter, and during that time, it was going through a very vicious cold snap. So they were all just because the past side of the house was just literally outside, just like a giant lean-to, and they were all freezing, and like their limbs would go numb and stuff like that just because of how cold it was. People would slip and fall and injure themselves in that side of the house, and it's like they had to cook their own food by making an actual campfire, but it was always so wet and moist that they couldn't build a fire, so they just had to suffer through the cold and eat like raw vegetables and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
And the
It was
games
bad
themselves
overall.
were so poorly tested. Like the first episode, the game was like they were battling on a raised platform 10 feet in the air, and they had cattle prods trying to like shock each other off of it, and there was padding to prevent them from hurting themselves when they fell, but only on opposite sides, and it was a very thin strip of padding. So when the first person fell off, they shattered their leg.
Holy fuck.
That's
And
right.
they had to go to the hospital, and they were just gone for the rest of the series. And
Holy shit.
like
What was the title of the show again?
Opposite Worlds.
The hell, man.
Like not even 10 minutes later, someone else falls and they break their thumb. It's such a shit show, but it's so fucking funny looking back at it because of like how did this even get greenlit?
The first episode aired January 21st, 2014. The final episode date was February 26th, 2014. So, yeah, shows how successful this show
Had one
was.
season. Short
One season, 12 episodes, and just,
Yep.
wow,
Go
that's
girl.
rough.
All right, sorry, that was just like a huge tangent. I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, no
That's
worries.
okay. So we are back at the dodgeball. Chris is explaining the rules. Standard dodgeball rules. You know, you get hit, you're out. If you catch the ball, the person who threw it is out. Someone on your team gets to come in. You can hold the ball to deflect balls rather than catch them. However, if the ball gets knocked out of your hand, you are out. Pretty standard rules. It's best 3 matches out of 5. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
You know what I realized? That I forgot the rules of dodgeball.
Is it specifically the ones of like holding the ball?
Yeah, like you could knock away another ball if you hold it,
Yeah.
or if you catch it, you could bring somebody else in.
Yeah, you
Stuff
didn't
like
know that
that.
part?
I knew it. I just completely forgot how to play dodgeball because I
fair.
haven't genuinely thought about dodgeball for like 5 years.
That's totally fair. They start doing their thing. Noah volunteers to sit out. He's like, I'll just sit this one out.
He it's not even that he just did that. He kind of was like making a big stink of it already out of the gate. And like again, very early on in the episode, like this is like his first line since episode 1.
Yeah.
And you kind of realize out of the gate, like, oh, he's gonna be a subject for elimination, isn't he?
Is a minor character speaking more than they should? There they go.
Yeah, it's a bye-bye.
Yeah. I can't wait for the merge and like the characters getting eliminated are actually meaningful.
Yes, that's kind of. We're kind of like grinding out the less interesting characters at this point.
Yeah. So there's some back and forth, some really like slow-paced dodgeball playing, like for such a sport that's supposed to be fast-paced, like everyone going at once. It's very slow. Tyler throws, hits Sadie on the bench, and then gets just flattened by Owen against the back of the glass. Harold throws really poorly, and then screams as LaShawna throws the ball at him. Katie gets Lindsay out. Heather hits Tyler in the crotch, who's sitting on the bench. Owen catches Courtney's ball. Gwen goes in immediately and then gets nailed in the head and is like, "Oh, no, it's okay. I wanted this." Because she's so tired.
Is this the start of or at least this is like one of like the few episodes that we start to see the relationship growth between Tyler and Lindsay, which I think happens during this first sequence.
Yes. Tyler's upset that Lindsay gets hit, and Lindsay when Tyler gets hit, they kind of have that connection already. And they like shout, visibly, like audibly shout "No" when it happens.
Yeah, and was it during the first match or the second match where they decide to like leave the?
I think that's the second one.
Okay, I'll let you do the second one.
It's later on.
Okay.
So the first match of this dodgeball ends with Cody versus DJ and Katie, and you think, oh, Cody's the nerd, he's gonna lose, but then he puts a very specific spin on the ball to throw it past DJ and have it curve around and hit him in the back, getting him out, and then he rubs the ball in his sweater to use static electricity to throw it at Katie, which just follows her around and eventually gets her out, and then never uses either of these again the entire
yeah.
match.
Cody here is like depicted like, oh wow, he's secretly really good at dodgeball, and then later on in the episode, when their team is losing, he doesn't break out any of these fucking moves
that he just did.
Oh my god.
The fact that you have a homing missile dodgeball, like, yeah, that's freaking powerful. Like, you use that a lot.
I actually wrote in my notes because the next game, they don't have Cody in. He sits on the sidelines for, like, every other game, and I'm like, why is Cody not on the fucking field?
Dude's a tank. He was more of a tank than Owen.
Yeah. Really? Okay, so DJ and Katie get out. Match 1 goes to the Gophers. They show the Bass trying to regroup. Tyler says, okay, the only way we're going to win this game is if you let me do all the work. So he gets all of the balls. He says, give all the balls to me. Noah mentions that he doesn't want to mess up the team's mojo, so he'll stay out still. Tyler has all the dodgeballs for his team and just starts spinning them and throwing them wildly. Nails Chef, almost hits Chris, throws it at the Gophers bench, and then smacks Lindsay right in the face with his last one.
You know what? I always hated that one fucking kid whenever I had to play dodgeball in like elementary school who always had to hold all of the balls.
Yeah.
Tyler was that kid.
I have to admit something. I was also that kid.
Were you that kid?
Wow, we have 2 ball holders here.
Okay, listen here, mister. I was doing it to help the team out because I would just throw the balls to whoever was available. It was a tactical decision.
Oh, so you were like you're quite literally the ball boy.
Yes.
Okay. Matt, it sounds like you were the one that threw every single ball on your own.
Okay. No, I get that. Because I was shitty at dodgeball too because I was a big target and I well, I wasn't very good at throwing or catching. So whenever I'd get a ball, I'd literally just find the next most athletic kid and just give it to them.
Okay, all right. So you
Yeah,
guys,
I totally get
it's-
where you're coming from. I'm thinking
Look,
of like the athletic
you got the
kid.
throwers, you got the throwers, you got the catchers, and then you have the collectors.
yeah, there you go. That's valid. I was thinking the ones that are the hoggers, hog the fun.
Yeah, I mean those definitely exist too.
Hog.
Hog.
Hoggers.
Oh. So Lindsay's like, I don't know why I reacted like that. Lindsay's like, how's my face? And there's 3 like
Welts.
huge bruises.
Yeah.
That I think Tyler like is like a little bit. But then I think this is when they go sneak off.
Well, yeah, he's like, they look good, which is always what you should say in those situations. But
Absolutely.
but I mean, you could also be upfront, like, oh, you do have like a few bruises, but you look fine, you know. But like, brush it off for the most part.
Yeah. At this point in the match, Owen goes crazy. Basically getting the entire team out, and there's this. This is where the what?
I was gonna say, going quickly back to the Tyler Lindsay thing. This is where Heather clearly makes her alliance known to everyone.
Yeah, when she goes, she goes and like finds them later on.
Well, like as they're leaving, like she's literally yelling at them, like, "Hey, what about our alliance?"
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's that. They very very clearly, and then, yeah, like you said, she kind of hunts it down.
And nobody cares.
Yeah.
Chris does like an instant replay thing with Jeff's hit. When it nails him in the face, he's got like the cheek puffing, spit coming out of his mouth, just forward and rewind over and over again. It's not that impressive of like a hit or shot, but it's the one they decided to like do this gag with.
Yeah, I think that they wanted to do some sporty stuff, so they wanted to include instant replay. So there you go.
Yeah.
No, it is just the fact that Chris is in love with torturing teenagers.
Right.
Yeah.
That he wants to watch this kid getting nailed in the face over and over again.
Yeah. Again, 16 years old.
Although, to be fair, like, all 16-year-olds would want to, like, watch that happen over and over again.
Yeah, except for the person that's getting the dodgeball in the face.
Also depends on the person.
Oh, alright, yes. Yes, so.
So after that, the Gophers go up 2-0. Again, it's best of 5, so the Gophers only need to win one more and not blow this one game from winning lead.
This one gay.
I said game.
One gay away.
I said game.
I don't know, man.
I'm just speaking quickly. Noah makes a snide comment about, woohoo, way to throw those murder balls. Still reading his
Go
book.
team, go.
They decide, the killer bass decide that the only way that they can win is if they wake up Duncan.
In this scene, Courtney says that, like, their worst players were Harold and Trent.
They said, other than Trent, you are the worst player.
Or, yeah, other than Trent, you are the worst player. But Trent's not on their team, and they met Tyler.
Yeah.
So they can not only can they not count, they can't spell either.
They can't remember their names. Too many T names. The show is a beacon of quality. So Courtney mentions that Harold should be the one to wake up Duncan, because if Duncan kills someone, he should kill the one who is the least important to lose.
It's rough life.
They end up poking him with a stick. It doesn't work on his butt, so they like poke his nose, and then he takes the stick, wakes up, breaks it, then wakes up, and then, even though it wasn't specifically Harold, he still threatens Harold to beating him up.
He was the one first in line, though.
Okay, that's why. So Courtney ends up threatening Duncan with the fact that, hey, if we lose this, we're gonna vote you off. Which, honestly, fair, since he was asleep on the bench the entire challenge until they woke him up. Duncan kind of like says, "Hey, just do what I say, and we'll be good." And they are. They all attack Owen to start off.
What's the technique called? Do you remember?
Catch the new guy or something.
Or get the new guy.
Yeah.
Get the new guy.
He learned it in his first day at Juvie.
Kiss the new guy.
So there's a montage of them like destroying the Gophers all at once while this like very sad, very slow piano music is playing. And Noah, at no time does he ever go in. There's a montage of them all like going in, coming out, and Noah never does. He just stays on the bench reading his book.
Noah's not good. It is exactly like literally just completely painting. Like they could have. I don't think they would be any more obvious if they decide in Dodgeballs to spell out Noah's going home, like across the freaking court. Like that's they're being that obvious.
Yep. This is when Lindsay and Tyler are caught under the dock, kind of hanging out by Heather. Heather yells at them. Tyler comes back in, and Courtney kind of chastises Tyler as well for fraternizing with someone on the other team.
Yeah.
And then it's tied 2-2. 2 matches to 2 matches. There's the last match goes really back and forth, even though Duncan has the like juvie dodgeball skill and Cody has superpowers,
which they never use.
Which he never uses again. Does that mean Cody's bisexual too?
No.
No, that he has superpowers.
He's not asleep.
He's not. It's the sleeping aspect of it.
Okay, but wait, here. I have a solution.
Okay.
He was face first in Owen's ass while asleep.
And the powers transferred.
He was right. He got some he got some a little like wipe off some powers. That's why he can't use it again.
He got to use it once and never got to use it again. He had to use up all that power in that one competition, and that's how he did it. With the power of Owen's farts.
Amazing.
Nasty.
As it goes on, the balls are being caught. A lot of members are switching out, and there's one on each side of the court, which means next one out, game is over. And on one side it's Harold, and on the other side it's Owen. And it takes a minute, but as soon as like everyone realizes it, the Gophers start to cheer because they're like, "Oh, we got Owen versus Harold."
Wait, I also want to take a moment to also talk about 2 things. One, Cody got out because he jumped in front of Gwen, who was about to get hit, and he gets knocked in the groin. And as well as the only reason that Harold is on that field was because Jeff gave him a chance and gave him the ball, and I thought that was very nice.
Yeah.
Jeff's a good guy.
Jeff's a very good guy.
Very evident throughout the show.
So Owen throws a ball, and Harold dodges a couple of them, and then Matrix dodges a third one. Leaning back, you can see his very angular hair, like almost touching the ball, but just avoiding it.
I wrote down in my notes Harold's Spider-Man shit.
Spidey senses.
I thought more of the Matrix with that moment.
Yeah. I think that was what they were referencing was Matrix, but I could kind of see the Spider-Man thing. But I feel like the whole thing I felt like this whole episode was kind of like they wanted to include like a very sports element to it all, and there's no good sports story without the underdog story. And that I think that's kind of why they perfectly set up the Herald triumphant, kick-ass win.
Mm-hmm. The Courtney calls a timeout, which I didn't know was a thing in dodgeball. And
I feel like Courtney was just making shit up, and then they're like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance of that, given that it's Courtney. They take Harold out, they give him some water, they kind of like do the sports like boxer type hype up thing. And they send him back in, kind of with the knowledge that, hey, you're not good at throwing, so try to catch the ball. And Owen, when he gets back in the game, Owen throws the ball super hard, hits Harold in the chest. He's knocked against the glass, which definitely should have given him a concussion of some kind. And then he like slides down it, opens up. He's caught the ball. Owen is out. The Killer Bass win their first challenge.
There you go.
They're celebrating, and Noah says something like, "What can I say? Weak effort."
Like as obvious as you ever can be.
Yeah.
He was hammering away at that point.
But not to him, because we go to the marshmallow ceremony, and Owen, Gwen, Cody, Trent, Heather, Beth, Justin, Lashana, and Izzy all get their marshmallows, leaving Lindsay and Noah. Noah has a very smug expression on his face the entire time. He knows he's getting a marshmallow. He knows they would keep him around because of his brains. And then it goes to Lindsay, and he's kind of dumbstruck. Mentions that he doesn't need the show. Is like, what, are you kidding me? And then they all throw their marshmallows at him, which he cannot dodge.
Yeah.
He even says "ow," and I'm just like, really?
They're marshmallows.
You know what? I didn't even realize that, like, it's like the dodgeball when they threw it at him.
Well, you know what, though? If you throw anything relatively hard at someone, I could see where it might, like, not leave a mark or anything, but it could hurt.
But Chris,
Chris, it's
they're
a
marshmallows.
They're marshmallows.
Okay.
A hard enough. Like, well, you could die by, like, if you jump from a fucking, like, high up place and hit water. You don't you don't get hurt by going into water, like, on your own.
Chris, I have a counter argument.
Okay.
You can see the marshmallows give in when they hit him, so they're still soft.
Squish.
Okay, but
I'd also like to give a counter argument. No one can throw marshmallows hard enough to hurt.
Well, they're a good distance away. I'm just saying that it could happen. I could see why he says "ow."
Why
I get
are you
it.
defending Noah?
I'm just saying, I'm defending people who say "ow" reflexively. I do that all the time when I do not actually get hurt.
Chris mentions he was basically like, okay, so maybe that wasn't that. Maybe that wasn't that dramatic, but I still get paid, and that's how the episode ends.
But yeah, because he's referencing at the beginning, he said again, it's gonna be the most dramatic episode.
Yeah. Well, I really don't quite understand why the confessional camera. He's not in the he's not actually like in the whatever the stall or whatever the outhouse. They like, if you look back at that scene, like, they could have just filmed it normally, but they had like the graininess to it, like they have with, like, when it's just like the person looking into the camera talking. Like, it was very weird. I didn't completely understand that.
I'm gonna look at that because I didn't pick that up.
Yeah, it was like, I was like, wait, what? That's so weird.
Oh, another thing that happens too is while Harold's in the confession stall talking about how, like, yeah, I'm basically like a ninja now, and people are gonna want my autograph because he took ice skating. He's eating a bag of chips, and I just couldn't get over how gross that is. Just like in this like toilet confessional with all like the flies flying.
Yeah, like, how can you eat anything in there? How could they even, like... I don't think I would ever give my thoughts on the show, because I don't think I would ever want to, like, go into the outhouse.
Go in there.
And also, like, why did they make it so that way the outhouse is both, like, the confessional where you talk, but also where people actually shit, too? Like,
because it's funny! Ha ha ha!
It's funny that way.
I know, it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing there?
So,
Are they using the bathroom, or are they spilling secrets? Or are they spilling other things? You don't know.
ew. So, before we get on to the other stuff, I want to talk just about Noah. Like,
Okay.
he was essentially a non-character in this show.
Yeah.
They don't. He's not in the cast for action. However, he does come back for World Tour, and he's also he's paired up with Owen in the Redonkulous Race series. And he has so much more character in World Tour and Redonkulous Race. Like, he actually like makes sense as like a smart, kind of a little bit snooty but still relatively cool. Cool is not the right word. He's such a better character in those seasons.
Yeah, I believe
just-
that's character growth then.
Yeah, they just didn't do anything with him here. Yet he seems like such a solid figure, especially after World Tour and the fact that he was in Redonkulous Race. Because only Owen and Noah were on a team, and then Jeff had another guy in the Redonkulous Race who were teams. And they're the only ones from the original cast that were part of that.
Yeah, well, that was it. Noah was like, well, I still have a bunch of character development. They're not going to vote me off. And then they voted him off.
I have to grow as a human being before I get voted out. Oh, no, not gonna happen.
You're on.
No, that's interesting. Is there a character from Total Drama Island, the original season, that basically gets completely forgotten in every other season? Is there a character?
Ezekiel?
Eva.
No,
No.
Ezekiel plays. No, he plays a very crucial
Ezekiel
role
is-
later on.
Crucial in World Tour.
Yeah.
Eva.
Eva, Katie, and Sadie do not show up past the original series. I feel like there's one more.
Beth?
But as I'm looking that up, do you guys want
What
to...
about Beth?
No, Beth
No,
is...
Beth is big in
Beth
season
is big
2.
in action.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
In action. Yeah, ratings. I'll go and I'll say that this is a 7 out of 10. I mean, like, it's, again, I think it's too early for me really to be like completely invested in the show. Has not reached its peak yet. It's better. It was a better episode though. I think generally it was a lot more entertaining. I think you got a lot more of a glimpse at the other characters a lot better. But yeah, just generally it was all right.
All right. I'll go. I'm giving this one an 8. I think the you mix it up a little bit with the Bass winning. You get to see more of the characters come out. Obviously, Noah was Noah, but especially on the Bass side, and this might just be because like the Bass, when the show first came out, I was rooting for the Killer Bass more than the Gophers. They were just like the team that I was rooting for. So this being their first win was cool for me, and I liked the challenge. You got Duncan, Tyler, Harold, all to kind of like give a lot of their personality. Courtney as well, kind of like establishing herself as like the leader of the team. And I'll have a lot of thoughts on Courtney later in the series, and if we do action, definitely during action. But yeah, I really like this episode, so I'm going 8.
Is it about how you like her?
No.
Matt, she's 16.
Well, I'm saying like as a kid you would like her. Never mind.
No.
Sorry.
Even then, no.
I would probably give it. I think this is. I'm trying to remember. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it's pretty good as an episode.
Yeah.
Gabe?
I know this is going to be kind of silly, but 6, just because of the The Cody thing.
They did well. You know what though? I think we've established that we understand a little bit more of why Cody did not use his powers after a while, because he didn't have them anymore.
He didn't have the energy.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's valid.
Exactly. All right. Any other thoughts about this episode?
I don't ever want to play dodgeball.
Look,
never.
Look, the playing dodgeball with kickballs, terrible. Like the big rubber balls. But they're like some smaller foam ones that I've played dodgeball with. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you like running around in like short bursts, which I know we talked earlier. We talked in the last episode. Running is not a thing you do.
No. Look, even the small balls will hurt my skin. Remember, I get hurt by people throwing marshmallows at me.
True. Those balls are soft as marshmallows.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard time for me.
Are they marshmallows?
I'm sure kids have tasted them, and they still exist. So I'm gonna say no, they're not marshmallows.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
You guys want that final dramarama?
Of course.
All right, let me find the episode. Oh, I had it right here. It's gone.
I know that every single time I hear an episode of this show, that my faith in humanity that has already been tarnished will further go deep into the abyss, never to be seen again.
Okay, I have it here. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
It is season 1, episode 49.
It's fucking 49?
Written by Mike Kiss. It's titled "Look Who's Clocking." When Harold's warnings...
What does that even mean?
Hold on. I think it's a play on Look Who's Talking, like the movie Look Who's Talking. Even though I don't think it has anything to do with the plot. Alright, you ready?
There's also just the phrase, "Look who's talking."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Alright, go ahead.
Just go.
When Harold's warnings not to mess with the clock go ignored, the kids are forced to save themselves when Duncan tears a hole in the fabric of time.
Yeah, that's just me on every Sunday afternoon.
It starts out so ominous when Harold's warnings go ignored.
When Harold's warnings go ignored.
Why does baby Duncan have the power to like cut a hole in the universe?
I don't know. I don't know why.
He messed with the clock, and because he messed with the clock, there was a hole there. He ripped a hole in space time.
Just fucking Chrono Trigger up in here.
This episode had over 500,000 views.
Okay, hold on a second though. Why did they not use Clockwork Orange as the title of this episode? Like they didn't even need to change the word.
Because the other one was about a psychopathic chicken. This one is Look Who's Clocking. Parody of the movie Look Who's Talking.
Wow. You know, it's just like we could they invest so much time into this show, completely moving away from what Total Drama even freaking was and what was it supposed to be, and people still invest time in it even though it's a completely opposite show that it was. What are they proud? Are they really happy with themselves that they're doing this? That they're just basically torching any possibility of them returning to what this show actually was at some point? Was there attempts at spin-offs so bad that they really just couldn't see themselves doing it anymore? They had to rely on the old characters, even though they're not old characters, they're freaking babies.
guys, almost every episode is named like a movie reference. I'm just telling you now. Like, Look Who's Clocking is like a parody of Look Who's Talking with like John Travolta and Bruce Willis. And the last one was A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
But then there's also other ones that was just like The Date or things like that. They start off like very vanilla, and then they become parodies of movies that, like, the episode after this, which I'm not going to share with you guys, is like written like it's a parody. Like just the title of it is written like a parody of like a Harry Potter book. Or there's another one that's a reference to the movie Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
Some of these like aren't even references to anything. They're just like, one's a reference to the Never-Ending Story. Another one's Risky Business. That's all I'll give you guys though. We can discuss that another time. But look who's clocking! Look who's clocking! When Duncan tears a hole in the fabric of time.
Yep, makes sense.
I feel like I feel like this is the ominous like overtone of this podcast. Is just knowing where the show was and knowing where the show is now. It's just sad, man. It's a funeral.
This has been the Doc of Shame podcast.
This has been our epitaph.
Don't tear a fabric in space-time. It already happened. Time doesn't exist. We're all just living in it.
Time is just
See
a
you all
construct.
next time. The Doc of Shame podcast is brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter @Doc of Shame and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.